Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Whispers of Time. We're starting our new campaign that is connected to the old campaign called Shadows of Kyoto. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of announcements. We're just going to jump right into the introduction. The winds whispered her name through the mountains of Iga, carried on the breath of the fallen. Fujibayashi Naue, a daughter of the shadows, a flame of defiance in a world of consuming darkness. She was born into secrecy, raised among the hidden blades of the Iga shinobi, where silence was deadlier than steel and deception was an art refined through blood and patience. The daughter of Fujibayashi Nagato, a master among masters. She was not merely trained, she was sculpted, her body and mind forged into a living weapon. That thunder's a nice touch. Yet, for all of her skill, Naue was no specter of cold detachment. Fire burned in her heart, an unshakable will that defied the notion that warriors must be stone. She spoke her mind when others would whisper. She felt loss when others would turn to ice. And when her home was threatened, she did not flee, she fought. The year 1581. The skies above Iga glowed red with fire. Oda Nobunaga's wrath descended upon the hidden province, a storm of steel and flame meant to snuff out the last resistance to his rule. The Brotherhood of Assassins, protectors of a lineage older than the warlord himself, were all but annihilated. Fathers, mothers, children. Their blood soaked the earth that had once concealed them. Naue survived, but survival was not victory. It was an open wound. In the chaos, an unexpected figure stood before her, not as an enemy, but as something far more dangerous. A man who should have been her adversary, a warrior from a distant land, bound to Nobunaga, yet unbeholden to him. Yasuke, the foreign samurai, the black samurai, whose very existence defied the rigid order of Japan. At first, their paths crossed in battle. Then an uneasy alliance, eventually in trust, but never completely. He fed her information, betrayed his own masters in subtle ways, guiding her blade towards those who needed to fall. Yet for all their shared struggle, for all the nights spent planning, moving like shadows through a world set against them, she never knew his true name, and he never spoke it. Naue did not fight for vengeance alone. She fought for what Iga had stood for, the right to exist beyond the tyranny of warlords and the cycle of conquest. She believed in something beyond the blade, beyond the bloodshed. It was a belief that shaped her, one that she tried to instill in Yasuke, challenging him to see beyond servitude, beyond the whims of men who saw them as weapons rather than souls. She knew that trust was a blade as sharp as any dagger. One day, it would cut. One day, the war that bound them might turn them against each other. But fate does not always wait for warriors to settle their battles. In the royal court of Toyotomi Hideyoshi, where whispers carry more weight than steel, and fate is a game played by unseen hands, one man stands at the edge of belief and deception. His name is spoken with both reverence and suspicion, his presence an enigma wrapped in silk and shadow. Urasawa Kosai, a seer. A charlatan? A man who claims to glimpse the strands of destiny, yet walks the razor's edge of self-destruction. At only 22, Kosai has risen higher than most men twice his age. a feat that stokes both admiration and resentment. He speaks little in the presence of power, offering his words sparingly, like gold dust sprinkled upon still water. But behind closed doors, the mask slips, the formality fades. There, he is brash, impatient, dismissive of the old ways and the men who still cling to them. He is no fool. He knows that men, like Takanaka Shigeharu, Hideyoshi's trusted advisor, see him as an interloper, a fraud dressed in mythicism. They call him a snake, a trickster, a gambler whose dice are weighted in his favor. But Kosai does not argue. He does not explain. He allows the rumors to spread, like ink on parchment. For the less they know of the truth, the safer he remains. Some use stars, others use bones or scattered leaves. Kosai uses dice. 7 carved stones, each inscribed with symbols of old magic, the forgotten tongues of lost dynasties. To the uninitiated, they are meaningless trinkets. To those that have seen them cast, they are something more. 7 rolls, 7 glimpses beyond the veil. To Hideyoshi, Kosai is a prophet. To his rivals, a fraud. And to himself, he is neither. He is simply a man who has learned to listen to the murmurs of fate, whether they be real or imagined. The burden of knowledge is a cruel one. Too much truth and the mind fractures. Too little and the world becomes blind to its own unraveling. Kosai has found his balance. Powdered sugar from foreign lands, a pinch stirred into his tea, just enough to sharpen the senses. A drop of tincture in his sake, enough to take the sting out of the visions. It is a small indulgence, a necessary indulgence. A habit, a need. He tells himself he's in control. For now. Among Hideyoshi's retainers stands a man unlike any others, a warrior of foreign blood, clad in armor not his own, carrying a name not his own. The legend formerly known as Yasuke, the Black Samurai, now going by the name Kami Nakama Kajiya. Kosai watches him with quiet curiosity, a feeling nagging at the edges of his thoughts, familiar yet formless. He cannot place it, cannot recall where or when their paths might have crossed. Perhaps it is nothing. Or perhaps it is everything. By the shores of Lake Biwa, where the water kisses the land with quiet devotion, there once stood a farm unlike any other. Not because of its size or its wealth, but because of its history. Written in the calloused hands of Misha and Hayashi Hirano, whose love had turned the soil rich and whose sacrifice had built a future. For generations, the land endured, passed from hand to hand, a legacy of sweat and devotion, until the night that changed everything. To Haruka Hirano, the youngest of 3 siblings, the farm was more than an inheritance. It was a promise, a bond, unbroken through time. She had watched her brothers take wives, raise children, till the fields with the same reverence their ancestors once did. And soon she too would bring new life into the world. A child, the next heir of the Hirano line. But prosperity invites jealousy, and tradition breeds conflict. The Portuguese missionaries, eager to spread their faith, had their sights set upon this land, offering riches in exchange for ownership. Their offers were generous, their persistence unwavering. Yet, the Hiranos would not sell. Not for wealth, not for safety, not for anything. Then, that fateful night, a scream. A sound so raw, so unnatural, it ripped Haruka from sleep, her pulse hammering in her ears. Her husband moved first, telling her to stay, to wait. But Haruka had never been one to wait. She stepped outside, feet bare against the earth, the lantern light flickering against paper walls. And then, blood. A crimson stain spread across the shoji screen of her eldest brother's home, his voice a choked gurgle in the night. She turned to run, to warn the others. When she saw them. Figures dressed in black, moving with inhuman grace, and among them, standing upon the farmhouse roof, was a single woman, with the softest hue of pink accenting her garb. A kunoichi, a rare sight, a silent omen, and the last thing Haruka would ever see. She ran, she fought, she hid. But the assassins were too skilled, too patient. They dragged her from her hiding place, her final breath lost to the night as flames swallowed the farm, devouring centuries of struggle, of love, of triumph. By dawn, only embers remained. The Hirano name wiped from the earth as if it had never been. But the crime did not go unseen. A neighbor, stirred by the distant glow of destruction, arrived too late, finding only ruin, and perhaps a single figure clad in black vanishing into the mist. The bodies were gathered, laid to rest upon the hill overlooking Lake Biwa, where Misha and Hayashi once stood together and dreamed of the future. And every day since, the neighbor returns to honor the dead, to grieve what was lost, and to wait, because justice will come. The land speaks. It whispers its secrets through the rustling of the fields, through the shifting of the winds, through the quiet murmur of the stream winding its way through the Miyamoto farm. Some hear only the sound of nature. Morihiko Miyamoto hears something more. Since childhood, Morihiko has walked with a presence unseen. Morihiko calls this presence Iri. A voice as soft as the breeze through the cherry blossoms, an unseen guide who whispers truths beyond mortal understanding. For years, he believed them to be nothing more than an imaginary friend, until he grew older, until their wisdom proved too deep, too knowing, too impossibly precise. Iri is not separate from him. They are a part of him, a celestial echo of something older than this life, tethered to his soul. And Morihiko is not the first they have guided. Once, long ago, they whispered to another, an Italian by the name of Pardo Bernanati, a soul reborn, a fate entwined. Though Morihiko does not yet understand the weight of this bond, the threads of destiny tighten with each passing day. Not all spirits come in whispers. One day, in the dense forests outside of Kyoto, he met Kaso, a nine-tailed fox with eyes like molten gold. Where Iri was a voice in the wind, Kaso was a shadow by his side, an ever-present companion who watched, who listened, who judged. The villagers whispered of kitsune, of tricksters and spirits who only walked beside those destined for greatness. Morihiko did not seek greatness, only purpose. To the world, he was a son of a farmer, a boy who would inherit the soil, the plow, the cycle of the seasons. But Morihiko had always watched the warriors, the samurai who trained in Kyoto's barracks. He mimicked their movements, practicing in secret, his hands gripping the wooden haft of a sasamata, the weapon of the guardsman meant to ensnare and disarm. His family laughed at his games. His father did not. On his 18th birthday, his father gave him an heirloom, a katana that had belonged to their ancestors. A blade not meant for a farmer. A blade meant for something else. Perhaps his father saw what Morihiko himself was not yet ready to see. Then came the fire, a glow in the distance, flickering against the dark sky. Morihiko ran, feet moving before thought could take hold. By the time he reached the neighboring farm, the flames had already swallowed everything. The cries had faded, the scent of blood clung to the air. And through the smoke, he saw her. A figure, clad in black, trimmed in pink, standing atop a collapsing rooftop, watching the ruin below. The kunoichi. But it was not the fire that left him breathless. It was what she left behind. As she vanished into the night, the wind carried the scent of cherry blossoms, the delicate petals swirling in her wake. And with them came a name, a legend whispered in the hills outside Kyoto. The Shadow Blossoms. Renegade Kuniochi, assassins of the night. Death carried on the wind. When the embers cooled, only sorrow remained. Morihiko did what he could, gathered what was left, tended to the bodies, honored the dead. But as he stood among the graves, a shiver ran through him. Something called to him. A presence that had always been there, watching, waiting. A whisper. A fate not yet revealed. The past is a shadow. It stretches behind us, long and unyielding, a thing we can never outrun, only carry. Oswin's journey, since leaving Florence, has been long and winding, stretching across nearly a century. Charged with the care of Misha, the daughter of his fallen comrade Leonora, he sought a place far beyond the reach of the Knights Templar, a land untouched by their endless machinations. That journey led him east, to Japan, a land of warriors, honor, and shifting allegiances. In the countryside outside of Kyoto, Oswin raised Misha, watching her grow into a remarkable woman. She fell in love, married a man named Hayashi, and built a quiet life filled with children and grandchildren. Oswin remained close, but always just beyond reach, fulfilling his vow to Leonora while ensuring Misha lived her own life, unburdened by his immortal nature. He was always there, a silent guardian, watching from the shadows, an unaging figure that could never be truly a part of the world he protected. Yet, Oswin's presence in Japan did not go unnoticed. As the Portuguese introduced Catholicism, their missionaries saw in him something rare, a foreigner who spoke their tongue and understood their ways. Through careful maneuvering, Oswin gained the trust of the Italian Jesuit Alejandro Villagnano, a key figure in spreading Christianity to Japan. This connection led him to an even greater opportunity, an audience with Oda Nobunaga, the ambitious warlord shaping the fate of Japan. Recognizing Oswin's strength, Nobunaga made him a samurai, granting him the name Yasuke. In this new life, Oswin, now Yasuke, walked the line between warrior and spy, his immortality hidden beneath the guise of a foreign Ronin. It was during this time that he encountered the Brotherhood of Assassins, warriors who opposed the growing influence of the Templars, much as he had in the West. Among them, he met Fujibayashi Naue, a deadly and brilliant kuniochi, and the two forged an unlikely friendship. Yasuke. That name. The name was both a gift and a burden. A foreign samurai, a warrior of two worlds, a man with no true home. And it was after Nobunaga's death that he assumed his chosen name, that of Kami Nakama Kajiya, God's friend. But the legend of Yasuke, the Black Samurai, it still follows him wherever he goes. Yet for all the battles that he has fought, for all the lords and warriors who have sought his strength, his greatest vow was not to a ruler, but to a friend, to Leonora. Her daughter Misha was his charge, his responsibility, the last tether to a promise made long ago. She grew, she loved, she lived. And Oswin remained in the periphery, a silent guardian watching from afar over a family that would never bear his name. Time passed, and where Misha aged, he did not. She became a mother, a grandmother, and finally an old woman resting in the twilight of her years. It was then, on the eve of her passing, that Oswin allowed himself one final moment. He stood at her bedside, unaged, unchanged, as she smiled through frail lips and whispered the only words that ever truly mattered. Thank you for all that you have done for me and my family. I love you, Papa. For the first and only time, she called him father. Then, she was gone. Now, in the year 1597, Oswin, under his new chosen name of Kami Nakama Kajiya, rides once more, his blade sworn to Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the new ruler shaping Japan's future. His duty is clear, his path unwavering. But fate is not so easily ignored. Oswin is now on the road, returning from a long mission in Okinawa for Lord Toyotomi. He finds himself on a familiar path near his beloved Misha's farm. Up ahead, a figure stands in the middle of the road, its yellow eyes gleaming like twin embers in the night. A black cat, sleek and knowing, staring into his soul as if it sees everything. Something about it stirs an old memory, one buried beneath nearly a century of blood and war. It is impossible. And yet, the cat is identical to Bathsheba, the spirit guide that once walked beside Leonora. A shadow of the past, a whisper of the future. Oswin does not hesitate. He follows. So Oswin, Bathsheba, moves without a sound, gliding between trees and over stone, always just ahead, leading you somewhere that you've not yet seen, but somehow you know you must find. The air grows still. The scent of earth and pine fill your lungs. And then, just beyond the rise, on the top of the hill, you see it. A series of freshly dug graves. and a lone figure that stands beside them, solemn and unmoving. A farmer in simple robes with one distinguishing feature, a long mane of bleached blonde hair. A man with a sasumata at his side. Bathsheba rubs up against the man's leg and then perches atop one of the makeshift headstones. She sits, she looks at you, Oswin, and she waits.
I suppose I will stand back at a distance, but at least sort of make myself known. But not, I don't want to surprise her. If I have to, I'll move around to approach face to face, so they see me coming.
I would say, Morihiko, if you would, make a perception check, please.
Okay.
Oh, it's a 1. You are
The tears in the eyes.
Deep in my grief.
standing alone in the twilight with tears in your eyes. You do not sense the presence of this samurai that has come upon the scene. That's a good way to start off the game, Christy.
Yeah,
well
done. We should start.
We're glad you're here.
Am I very confident that that's Bathsheba, or at least some sort of connection? It's too familiar.
It's too familiar not to be. In the way that he moves, or she moves, it's... your instinct is telling you it's completely impossible.
Yeah.
But that's
I'm an immortal,
the same cat. Yeah.
I will slowly approach, and as I make my way, I will actually call out, Bathsheba. Almost like halfway, just sort of normal, but halfway like, is this cat gonna, answer to that?
And Bathsheba moves her head in acknowledgement to you, and then lays down on the gravesite, on the tombstone.
Right. Depending on how far I am, I'll approach Bathsheba first.
Yeah,
and give her a pet.
Morihiko, you certainly now are aware that someone is there.
I forget how tall I am.
You're
I thought I was fairly tall.
6 something, yeah.
You're right.
Big dude.
I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
I'm not a big dude. I'm just me. I'm 6'1". Except he's lighter than I put on.
So in Japan, though, you're probably pretty tall.
Yeah, tall compared
at
to...
the time. For the time period, probably, yeah. As I'm kind of stroking Bathsheba on her back, I'm going to greet Morihiko and make the assumption that these are people that are either related or are dear to the person. And I'll just acknowledge that and give them my condolences.
And I, an average-sized person of the country, am in some awe of you and your presence. I've not seen you here before. What brings you this way? Thank you for acknowledging the dead that I'm mourning, recognizing here. But who are you?
My name is Kami Nakama Kajiwa. You can call me Nakama. And if she's native, she would know that that means friend. And am I on my way to Noe?
You were on your
Noe?
way back to Toyotomi.
From Misha's place?
No, from a mission that Toyotomi had sent you on.
Okay. Sorry, I'm reading through the message.
Mhm.
I'm trying to make sure, like, I'm supposed to know this. Okay.
I will ask, are you as a, you are not a stranger to this land, Nakama. Did you know Haruka and the family I'm here to mourn? Is that why you've come?
And the name Haruka, certainly
does.
you acknowledge that and know that that is Misha's granddaughter.
Oh,
Haruka.
Haruka?
Haruka.
Yeah,
Okay.
Haruka.
I'm going to say that I'm a family friend. A long family friend. And I'm here to pay condolences on my way back.
And you do not know that she's dead. This is definitely a surprise.
Oh, so I
yeah.
hear the name, and that's
the whole family. All of these graves here represent the members of that family, but this is the first you are hearing of her death.
Oh.
Yeah.
He'll pull out his katana, and I'm assuming like the gravestones are here, the gravestones are here, the grave, and then Morihiko.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I take out the katana and I will stab it into the ground behind the gravestone and work my way around to Morihiko with teary eyes as I go and I read. And definitely you can get a sense of surprise and that it affected me in a way that you're not really probably like, why does this stranger all of a sudden give a shit? And I'm trying to think of, would Oswin have, I would say he would have kept something in memory of Misha.
Sure.
Either like a silk scarf or badge or something that he would always keep on him as a token of good luck or whatever. Maybe if her family had a symbol.
Was there something, Dragon, that Leonora had given Misha?
There was a few things. She definitely gave her some, like a couple of scarves from like her scarf dancing days. And then the Moonstone family ring, she had tied onto a scarf to give her, and then she also gave her like the cat mask at the very end. So you certainly could have had like one of the scarves.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like the ring or something.
He probably wouldn't have taken the ring from her. That was too much of a remember.
Yeah.
He'll take out the scarf and start brushing away any debris or dirt from the gravestones. And then he'll wipe it and then put it back and turn to Morihiko, and he'll just, what happened?
I'm greatly appreciative of the care that you're showing my beloved neighbors. I'm sorry to have caused you such a shock to bring you here. Fate must have brought you here to learn of this. Otherwise, why would you be here? That unfortunately fate has brought you here too late, and I was unable to stop the tragedy. On the night that they were taken, I was working in the fields and saw in the distance an ember. It was almost like a song before I turned to see it, and I ran as fast as I could. But when I reached the house, the entire structure was ablaze and all was lost. But through the fire, I saw a figure, a figure all in black, but edged in pink. Perhaps you have heard of the Kunoichi?
I believe he has. Yeah.
Yeah, Kunoichi for sure. Kunoichi is the female ninja. So they have their own kind of separate thing from the men, but there are female ninja and they are called Kunoichi.
Okay.
This figure vanished in the night, leaving nothing but a swirl of petals.
And that rings a bit of a bell, I think, to you, Oswin, the petals and the
Mhm.
Kunoichi. There's a connection between the two of those. It's a myth that has been said in whispers since your time began here in Japan. A clan of female only ninja, known as the Shadow Petals, and these cherry blossoms are their calling card.
Now, have I heard? I'm assuming I've heard about everybody else, but have I come across them,
No,
or just
only in
the
whispers.
hearsay?
Now, you have probably heard speak of them within the Assassin's Brotherhood,
Yeah.
that they do believe that they are real, but they remain elusive.
How long ago was this?
About
Chris?
two,
I'm
sorry,
asking.
about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just yeah.
He'll make his way around, get his katana, sheath it, walk back up, and he'll ask for directions. Show me the remnants, if you will, please.
Haruka, for you, there is only darkness. I'm saying that wrong. Tell me again how to say it.
Haruka?
Haruka.
Mhm.
Haruka. It's on the beginning. Haruka. I have to
Mhm.
laugh. Haruka. Haruka.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Haruka. For you, there is only darkness. Not the comforting embrace of night, nor the restful void of sleep. This is something deeper, colder, a silence that stretches into eternity. And yet, something stirs. A pulse. Faint, but growing. A distant, rhythmic beat. Heartbeat. Your heartbeat. Sensation returns in fragments. A weight pressing against your chest. The feeling of fabric, damp with earth. A scent, rich soil, decay, the faintest trace of incense. And then the realization. You are buried. The air is thick, suffocating, pressing in from all sides. Your fingers twitch, meeting resistance, dirt heavy packed around you. A whisper echoing in your head, a voice you cannot place, but one that is familiar all the same. Haruka, rise. Your body obeys before your mind can grasp the impossibility of it all. Fingers claw through the soil, muscles strain, weak but driven by something deeper than instinct, something calling you back. The weight lessens. The darkness breaks. A single breath, your first in who knows how long, escapes your lips as your fingers breach the surface. Oswin, Morihiko. The wind shifts, the soil trembles, and then movement. At first, just a whisper of motion, the smallest disturbance in the freshly packed earth. A trick of the light, perhaps? The mind playing games? No. The ground suddenly splits. Fingers, pale, trembling, emerge from the grave, clawing, desperate. Then an arm. A grasp, ragged, raw, a gasp, ragged, raw, as if tasting air for the first time. And then, before your eyes, she rises. A figure draped in burial robes, skin kissed by the grave, eyes wide with something between terror and revelation. Haruka has returned.
I think he's immediately going to just kind of in a low voice, Lenora?
The first thing I do is scream as a memory and realization come back to me. This the long, loud, primeval scream, uh, and then she just kind of once it all kind of comes out, she just kind of sits there and kind of stares like off into the distance for a second.
Was this the same thing that we saw in Italy when we witnessed Lenora's?
You
You guys
didn't
didn't see
you
it.
didn't witness hers.
I saw her death though.
Her death, yes. Mhm. Yeah.
The present day guys saw it in the morgue though,
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
but that's present day.
But that's present day, right?
Yeah. Would there be faint resemblance that I would recognize? I mean, I assume that there, but I haven't seen obviously her ever.
Not up close. Well, I take that back. One day on the road, you might
Oh,
have
really?
passed her.
Okay.
And she gave you a bit of a knowing glance of, or maybe a questioning glance
Mhm.
of this ebony black man
Yeah.
dressed as a samurai. And she had heard the stories of Misha from childhood, of this ebony man who raised her, brought her from a foreign land, raised her here in Japan, and on the eve of her 18th birthday, disappeared. Um, so, yeah, your legend probably exists within the family.
Okay.
Your local cryptid.
He'll take out the scarf and hand it to her to clean herself up.
Wipe that grave off yourself, bitch.
Well, I wasn't that rude.
And
um,
Haruka, you take the silk scarf in your hand and you immediately recognize it as that of your grandmother's.
um, then I kind of take it and just kind of tie it around. How was I? I forget. How did I go down again? I was just like stabbed, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They stabbed you repeatedly,
Just
and
these are,
and probably tossed your body in the fire.
yeah. Oh, right. So,
But all of those wounds are healed. There are scars there, and your skin has kind of a little bit of a cracked quality to it, almost like that of a porcelain doll.
cool. Um, she'll just kind of tie it around one of her wrists to kind of, or actually, she'll pull her hair back with it.
Damn
Uh,
it. I said clean yourself, not take it.
she does this. And then she kind of will look around to see who's immediately around her.
And then you do see the black samurai that you passed years ago on the path, the man that brought back the old stories of your grandmother Misha.
Okay. And I assume Bathsheba is there, right?
Bathsheba is there, and then you see your neighbor, whom you're familiar with, Morihiko.
Okay. She'll kind of look at the cat first, though, because she kind of is like, um, I would think maybe she would hear the cat say something like, I don't know, uh, "You're back for a purpose" or something like that, or what I instinctually, I would think that they may communicate that. That's why that would be kind of my
Hmm.
rationale, or one way I could just like understand why I'm here, why I've been resurrected.
Yeah.
Um, and then kind of look over at my neighbor Morihiko.
Yeah, how are they dealing with this visage?
That's what I wonder. Am I horrified and terrified at this apparition, or am I relieved and stunned? And
You tell me.
um, is
I
that a
want
role, or is that my own inclination?
It's your own inclination.
I once had to make a very similar choice.
How would you like to react?
Um, let's see, what is the thing? I think I will get down into a crouch and hold the Sasumata up in terror.
When I see that, I say, "Fear not. I feel like there's only a select few that need to fear me. There's a rage like a fire that is spreading throughout my body and mind. Uh, and I feel it may consume me if I don't." And then I kind of get up, uh, and I look at Oswin or Kami, and I say, "I need weapons, and I need uh, a good friend of the family right now."
You can have both. Where I'm going, there will be weapons.
Where are you going?
I'm going back to the guy who set me off on the, is it Hideyoshi?
Yeah,
The Shogun?
that was the initial intention. And then with what I wrote to you, with the revelation of the shadow petals, there's one
Mhm.
person that would know where they would be located, and that would
Yeah,
be Naue. Yeah.
no way. Yeah.
So
So I guess am I required to go and check in, or can I divert?
you can divert,
Okay.
and it's close enough. It's on the outskirts. The Assassin's Brotherhood is on the outskirts of Kyoto, at least this location.
Okay.
So you can head in that direction. They're not expecting you back at any certain particular time because you've been on the road, and an extra day might not make any difference.
Okay. I have a
Um,
friend that will assist us. I can take you there.
First, I need to go back to what's left of our farm, and I'm sure that I can. There were some of those who attacked us that fell. I would use their weapons against them if I could.
Haruka, I will take you if you do not remember the way after your time in the dark. I will continue to be your friend in this life, in this second life.
Thank you, Morihiko. Did anybody survive?
Of your family, none.
And then she just kind of hangs her head.
And I'll look around at the other graves and inspect them really quickly.
Anybody else getting up?
Last chance. Going once.
Yep, yep. Uh, I will pick up Bathsheba and then just kind of like hold her.
That'll make him smile.
And then kind of follow them back to what was my home.
And Morihiko, something within you stirs, and it is eerie.
Mm.
There is a warmth that is beginning to build within you now. This black samurai, this man from another place, is somewhat familiar to you. You've never seen him in person before. You've heard stories of the Black Samurai, but this is your first time seeing him in person. And yet, there's something familiar about him. And while you were initially horrified by what you saw crawling out of the grave, you have this sense of deja vu that something like this has happened before. And deep within you, eerie stirs, and you know that an adventure awaits. So, Dragon, you and Morihiko and Nakama return to the farm, and it is sheer devastation. The fires consumed all of the abodes here on the farm. And you seem to recall in fighting for your life, one of the ninja of the shadow petals dropped a sword and it fell in between the floorboards of your home. Perhaps that ninjato might still be there. And as you're looking around, sifting through the rubble and so forth, you come across the mask that was once a treasured item for your grandmother Misha. It is broken in two, charred by the fire. But something within that visage of the cat and the cat that is in your arms speaks to you. And you know that you must assume that look for yourself.
Yeah, she'll find like since there's like burned stuff everywhere, like a bit of like a wood that it's kind of charred, and use that charcoal to kind of like do the face that you see on there.
And when you pulled your that scarf around you and pulled your hair up, it actually kind of formed almost like cat-like ears in your hair.
Okay, yeah, I dig it. Um, and after that, she just kind of like you see almost like her whole posture and demeanor just kind of seem to relax, like very like there's no tension in her body whatsoever. Whenever she moves, it's very like lounging and fluid. And also when she speaks, there's like a cold, flat lack of emotion to everything. Where Leonora was just like passionate and full of anger, like she is literally just dead. Cold.
Eventually, you find the ninjato that was dropped by one of the shadow petals, and you find, maybe with some help from Oswin and, I'm sorry, Nakama and Morihiko, they get you some clothes to put on, at least for your travels. And Oswin, you know now, there is one individual that you can think of that might be able to lead you in the direction of these shadow petals, the ninja that murdered the family that would have been yours.
Yep.
And you begin your trek to the west side of Kyoto.
Read.
The road winds through... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I'll lead the way.
Mm-hmm. The road winds through the countryside, a path carved between rolling fields and dense groves of bamboo. The air is thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth, the last remnants of a passing storm lingering in the cool night. A gentle mist clings to the ground, curling around your ankles as you travel. Oswin leads the way, his posture steady, his silence betraying a familiarity with this path. Morihiko follows close behind, ever watchful, his gaze flicking towards Haruka, measuring her strength. Haruka, newly risen from the grave, walks between the two of you. Her presence undeniable, even in silence. The journey is quiet, save for the rhythmic sounds of footsteps against damp soil and the occasional rustle of unseen creatures in the underbrush. The wind carries the distant scent of burning wood, a village hearth somewhere beyond the hills. Overhead, the stars remain veiled beyond shifting clouds. Then, through the mist, the estate emerges. Once a noble's home, now something more. The sprawling property looms beyond the tree line, its wooden frame darkened by time, its grand structures softened by the slow encroachment of nature. The paper walls of the main house show years of neglect, yet they stand firm. Stone lanterns line the courtyard, their flickering glow barely cutting through the thick fog. But despite its age, this place is not abandoned. Shadows move along the rooftops, silent figures watching, waiting. Hidden eyes track your approach. This is no ruin. It is a fortress in disguise, a sanctuary for those who live and die in the name of something greater. As you near the gate, a guard steps forward. His stance is rigid at first, wary. But then his gaze lands on Oswin. A beat of silence. Then a single word, spoken with quiet reverence. Yasuke? The name hangs in the air like a ghost of another life. Before you can answer, the gates groan open, and you are welcomed inside. The courtyard hums with motion. Figures dart between the pillars of the estate, some locked in the practiced rhythm of combat, others moving with quiet intent, whispering among themselves as they pass. The weight of unseen glances presses upon you from the shadows, and then you see them. At the far end of the courtyard, they wait. Xiaojun stands at the center. And actually, I have a map, so let me pull up a map very quickly.
Our first map.
If I may, I would say that some like during the journey, like Haruka would be kind of just whispering quietly, like she's talking to Bathsheba, and like it seems like she's having a conversation with her to the other people, even though they don't hear. Obviously, they don't hear Bathsheba say anything. Just a little like.
Okay. All right, so Xiaojun stands at the center of the courtyard. Her presence sharp as a drawn blade. Her eyes assess you, calculating, but not unkind. She's flanked by two trusted warriors. Yamauchi Taka, clad in the white robes of the Assassin's Brotherhood, his crimson demon mask betraying no emotion. And Hattori Hanzo, a broad-shouldered, his stance that of a man who needs no weapon to be dangerous. But Oswin's gaze is drawn elsewhere. On the steps of the house, Kotetsu, Xiaojun's young charge, lounges with the ease of someone who knows they are under no threat here. And beside him, Naue. Dressed in black and yellow, she is as he remembers, sharp as a knife's edge, quiet as a lingering shadow. Her expression is unreadable, but the weight of her gaze is heavy. She has been waiting, and now, at last, you have returned.
I am not familiar with etiquette of the time, but I will do what someone who is visiting would do an approach, whether it be disarm or take my shoes off. I don't know.
You would probably have you would take your sword and place it over to the right so that it cannot be easily drawn. You would probably want to approach Xiaojun, who is the master of this brotherhood, and bow politely to her, announce your name, and your purpose for being here.
I'll do just that.
We'll hang in the back.
And as soon as you do that, you hear a cackle from Naue.
Is that something that I kind of like? Is that typically what
Would probably expect.
my old friend?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of smirk as I'm talking to Xiaojun.
And
And
Xiaojun says, apparently, you are here to see someone. Naue,
I am.
I assume you recognize this man.
Naue comes down the steps and stands next to Xiaojun. Yes, I recognize this man. I almost killed him once.
Almost. Well,
He's a
not
friend.
Well,
What brings you here?
then I will leave you to your friend to discuss. Welcome, Yasuke. I'm sorry. Nakama. And Xiaojun takes her place over here on the steps, not too far, and she is obviously listening in to what you're talking about.
I wasn't sure I would ever see you again, friend.
I wasn't sure either. But times demand such a thing. I'm in need of your expertise.
Are you going to introduce me to your friends first?
Certainly. He'll turn around and wave them forward.
Good.
Specifically, like to, let me see if I can get it. Haruka?
Haruka.
Haruka.
Yeah.
Got that R. I've never been able to roll my R's, man. Never. Couldn't do Spanish. He'll introduce Haruka and as if she is family. And talk about, I'll mention that her family was wronged. Family was killed, wiped out, and their homes burned by what I've found to be the shadow petals. And I know that you live in the dark. And I figured you would have information, ways, and means to assist us in revenge.
What makes you think it was the shadow petals? We're not even certain they exist.
They exist.
What makes you so sure?
I've seen it firsthand.
They tried to kill her, but she survived.
Their garb and ways are very unique.
Tell me what you saw.
And I'll describe the was it the dark robe with the pink trim and the cherry blossom petals.
Yeah, I think, would I be able to retcon a little bit where Nakama actually picked up some of those petals when we went back to the homestead?
Yeah.
That is something I also did.
Yeah.
On the night of the fire, I collected them and mixed. I haven't told you this, but I've mixed them in with some of the tea that I gathered in the forest.
Cool.
And keep it for the need, should the need arise. But go, yeah.
So yeah, I'll show the petals to Naue.
So what makes you think I would want to get involved in this?
Well, and believe me,
you already do.
I wouldn't say I owe you much of anything.
So I went from wanting to kill you to working with you to trusting, and then you disappeared.
I had matters to attend to.
And why is this Haraku important to you?
She'll kind of whisper to Nakama.
Yeah.
Is this your ex or something?
You'll kind of laugh a little bit.
He wishes.
She wishes.
Ah!
Naue, this is a family affair.
It's a family affair.
Honor,
Well,
respect, revenge. All of
I
these
know.
kind of fit very well into our relationship.
I know you wouldn't have the balls to come back to me if it wasn't important.
So you guys were.
And she turns to Moriko. Moriko? Is that how you pronounce that? How do you say it?
Morihiko.
Morihiko. And you? Why are you here? Who are you?
I'm neighbor and friend to Haruka.
So she ran to you during the assault, I presume.
I was nowhere near. I would have protected her with my life. I came just in time to see the shadow petal. And I know you say this is only someone spoken of in whispers, but so too are the kitsune.
Fair enough. Haruka, tell me how you survived.
I didn't.
Pardon?
I did not survive that encounter.
And with that utterance, a new presence comes into Now,
Yeah, this shit again.
Carl!
Carl!
Carl! Now he takes a step back.
Coral!
What does Carl know up to now? Everything?
yeah, he's been writing
Okay.
this whole time, so he's
Okay.
heard everything. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Takes a step back. Nawe's demeanor just completely changes. A little bit more tense, a little bit more furtive, and stares at Oswin for long enough for the eye contact to be awkward, but then cuts away.
Did
How'd you-
Osman ever know about Carl specifically?
Yes.
Or did he just witness the change sometimes?
Yeah, no, he knows the name. He knows it all. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
It was very awkward and weird.
Stepped on all the butterflies.
And turns to Erica. The voice has changed slightly and goes, "You did not survive. Tell me about it. What happened? How are you here?"
That I do not know. And then I kind of look over and do the call Bathsheba over, and then scoop her up and be like, all I know is what I've learned from my friend here.
Hello, Bathsheba.
What has happened to me? Wait,
Yeah, he just said the name, or she
Wait,
just
well-
said the name.
how do you know her name?
I know more than
Carl?
you can possibly imagine. I just look at Oswin.
Carl?
Not yet.
So, this Haruka, remember a person named Leonora in our past, Nawe? Do you remember
Yes,
her child?
of course I do.
You'll just go, granddaughter.
Fuck.
So, now you understand. It's a family affair.
Yes, I do. Well, all right. The resources of the Brotherhood are yours.
Thank you.
And for the record, Dragon just lost power.
I just saw that.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I'll try to pick up with Haruka. He's messaging me, so maybe it was just a quick brownout, but we'll see.
No big deal. He's only the lead role.
He said he's going to get on Zoom with his phone, so
Okay.
he'll at least be
In the
able to do that.
dark.
Yeah.
Just have to roll for him.
Yeah, we could do that. Oh, he does manual roll anyway.
Yeah.
I guess I'd Nawe. What kind of group shall we assemble?
Well, I'm sure the people here.
Not too large. We don't want
No.
to be known. This is a
No.
disease that needs to be excised, maybe from the inside.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't be as flashy as last time.
Yeah. He
Those
kind of
were
just
good
stares
times.
off, thinking, yeah, he just stares off, thinking like it just brought him back somewhere.
But quick question.
Mhm.
Kosai, do I know who he is?
Um, wait, Kosai?
Or whoever, frick, what have you
Oh,
pronounce his
oh,
name?
sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I'm looking at everybody on the page here. I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about? Oh, it's the player that's not here.
Yeah,
You
the
do,
guy lounging.
you do not. Well,
Okay,
no. I mean, Carl would probably not.
gotcha.
But you would know that there would. I mean, if you are trying to gather the old group back together,
Hmm.
you have most of them here.
Yeah.
Pardo is missing. And or not Pardo.
Yeah,
Madalena.
Madalena is missing.
Madalena. Hmm.
So the soothsayer.
Yeah.
Is the only one that's missing.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
I look at Oswin and go, look at Part
look at Pardo.
and look at Leonora, and I'll go, seems to me we need a butterfly.
Yeah. I don't know where that might be.
Well, when he says butterfly, he's referring to a moth.
I picked up on it.
And the moth triggers the memory of Madalena and Saturn, and Madalena was a soothsayer.
Mhm.
Toyotomi has a soothsayer in his charge, one of his advisors. Someone that many people don't necessarily trust, but Toyotomi certainly trusts his fortune telling. Is it possible you may already know
Okay.
this version of Madalena?
Anyway, how often have I run up against Kosai? Like, has he been around?
Yeah, it's been
Not
around,
noticed?
and you are aware of his presence, but have not necessarily had direct contact with him.
Okay. I'm wondering if I would have seen the moth and if that would have been a connection. I mean, it's been 100 years, but a soothsayer that has a moth is not easily forgotten.
Make a perception check. Okay.
22.
So, Kosai often wears a brooch that is very reminiscent of the moth Saturn that Madalena possessed. You kind of wrote it off as a coincidence, but never really thought too much more about it. But now that Bathsheba's back, you're definitely thinking, all right, well, that's maybe not a brooch.
Yeah, Nakama's a little confused because he's like, I know what I am, but he's really surprised well, unless he already knew and worked with Naue and knew about
This is the first time
all this.
Carl's ever come
First time
through.
he's ever
Yep.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of like an oddity, and he's a little uneasy. And now he's wondering the same thing. Like, is this something that someone else is? And when he said Pardo, he's kind of looking around as it jogs his memory about the old man and his contraptions.
Mhm.
And he's not understanding, other than unless he looked and nodded at Morihiko.
Mhm.
If so, he's going to look over with curiosity about, like, that's a change of pace.
Yeah, and I
So-
I think with that perception check that you just made, we'll probably count that in this respect as well. That there
Okay.
was probably at least a look, an eye twitch that brought Naoe's eyes to Morihiko.
All right, well, getting the band back together.
Now, one other thing, and this was something that Clint and I just talked about last night, so I wasn't able to talk to you about it. I kind of forgot about it until this moment. At one point, very near the end of what was your last character's name?
Oswin?
No, Clint.
Oh,
Yachts.
Silvestro. Sorry.
Silvestro. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Toward the end of Silvestro's life, he journeyed to Japan and crossed your path intentionally and gave you Hepzibah.
oh,
And
shit.
Oh, nice.
and told you that when the time comes, you will pass this on.
Okay. Now, shall we go somewhere and sit, have tea, discuss things?
Sure.
Lead the way.
From the steps, Xiao Jun says, "One moment. I could not help but overhear the shadow petals. You chase a whisper, a phantom. But make no mistake, they are real. For more than a century, the Brotherhood has sought them, but they remain a step beyond our reach. They are not like us. We fight in the open when necessary, leaving marks in history that cannot be erased. The petals, they are the wind in the trees, the reflection in the still water. When their blades strike, there is no sound, no trace, only absence. A life taken, a name forgotten. Long ago, they were said to serve a single master, a warlord whose name was struck from history. It is said that when he fell, they did not die with him. They became something else, rootless, shifting like the mist, bound only to their own design. Some claim they have no true loyalty, that they sell their skills to the highest bidder. Others say they serve a greater cause, one hidden in the folds of the world. Whatever the truth, they do not wish to be found, and those who seek them do not return. But there is someone who might know where to begin your search. The Lantern Festival is this weekend. The streets will be thick with merchants, revelers, and fools. Among them a boy named Yoshi. He is young, but make no mistake, he is no common street rat. He runs a crew of thieves and pickpockets, boys and girls who have ears in every shadow and eyes in every alley. If there is a secret in Kyoto, it has passed through Yoshi's hands at least once. He and his gang will be working the festival, plucking purses from unsuspecting merchants and drunks. If you want to find the shadow petals, you must first find the boy who knows the whispers of this city. But, I warn you, tread carefully. Yoshi does not give freely. If you want his secrets, you must be willing to pay play his game.
No, away goes. Magdalena would be proud.
What was the little boy's name?
Yoshi.
No.
Oh.
I'm talking to Naue,
Oh,
Carl, but
I'm trying to think of what his name was. Damn it. Can't
the
think
little
of
one that ran around in the city.
Yeah. Not. I keep wanting to say
Vittorio.
Giancarlo. Vittorio. I was like,
Yeah.
Giancarlo's not right.
it.
Vittorio.
Just
Yeah.
like the
Vittorio.
Vittorio.
Yes.
Oh, shit, I wonder what happened to him. Speaking of which, let's go talk. Excuse
do.
us.
Thank you for the information. We'll waddle off.
Yeah. As soon as we get somewhere private, now I will just turn around and give Oswin the biggest fucking hug and go, God damn it, it's so good to see you. What the fuck?
I know me. What the fuck? What the fuck with you?
I'm back.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Do you just like pop around to different people all over the world at any given time? Like, what's your
Yeah.
deal?
That's pretty much how it works. Yeah.
You call me weird.
Dude, you're looking over my body in a friggin' wannabe coffin 600 years from now. And I'm the weird one?
You are. You're the one that's jumping around.
Tell me what.
I've been here the whole time,
catch,
man.
Catch me up. Misha,
Yeah.
she had a good life. Please tell me she had a good life.
She did. Large family, grandchildren.
Mhm.
She passed recently. Quietly. Serene.
It was all
But-
worth it then.
It was.
So what the fuck? Why? What's going on now? What's up with?
Haruke,
Yeah.
grandchild, Misha. The entire family, the entire homestead. Burned. Decimated. I came back from a quest on my way to actually visit. Is it Hideyoshi?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel really bad just butchering all these names. I'll get better.
No, just wait. Watch me later.
Yeah. I was on my way back actually to return to Hideyoshi. And I made a detour and I came across the graves. And Morihiko here was there. And that's
Okay, so
when I saw Bathsheba, which drew me to the grave. And that's when I found out what happened. And
Gotcha, so-
Morihiko kindly showed me what happened. And I immediately thought of you. Well,
Or-
now
yeah, Naue, who really doesn't trust you, by the way, even though she says she does. What's up with that?
it's
I mean,
mutual.
I kind of know, but I want to see what's your side.
We have a mutual mistrust that balances out. It's healthy.
Great, we can work with healthy. So Morihiko, do you know him? What's up with is
We just met some days ago on the way. Like I said,
does he know Pardo, descendant of Pardo? What's up?
I haven't heard that name in a century. I miss the old man. He was
You do realize it's only been a couple days for me.
well, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so yeah, time has passed, my friend.
Obviously,
A lot.
I know. And you're looking just the same as always. So okay, yeah. So we've got to get shit done, I guess.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? I mean, you're in charge, man. You know what's
Well,
going on.
I want your boots, your clothes, your motorcycle.
So at this point, Nakama, you do know that you will probably need to check in with Lord Toyotomi. And now you have even more of a reason to, because normally when Toyotomi meets with you, he has members of his council with him. And one of the members of that council is Kosai.
Okay.
It is late. Xiaojun offers to put you guys up for the night before you make your journey back into Kyoto to visit with Toyotomi. So
Fuck.
before you pass out for the night, is there anything, Morihiko, is there anything that you want to do to talk to anyone about?
No, nothing in particular. I may have thrown in that I believe if they're trying to round out the party to accomplish a great feat, we might want to reach to someone in a higher power of prestige and political position. I myself am only a farm, a farm worker, and cannot provide that to the group. So that's the direction I would suggest they go. Coincidentally.
I may have someone that might fit that. And
Good.
given
Like a politician
what's-
or a wealthy merchant or something?
I had something else in mind. Given the situation here, Naue, and you say Pardo, there's someone that I've noticed and been around in the court. I'm wondering, Magdalena, didn't she have the
Seriously?
brooch or something?
The
It
moth.
was Saturn, wasn't it?
The moth, yes.
Yeah. I know someone in Toyotomi's court that, now that I think about it, may
Magnificent.
fit that bill.
Mhm. We'll leave in the morning.
Excellent.
Well, after a good night's rest,
And
you,
Naue looks at Morihoko and goes, farm worker?
Do we need provisions and maybe a weapon for you, Morihiko? I'd say this to Naue.
Morihiko, I think, has his weapon with him, and
Okay.
the katana and the sashimata. Did I say that right?
I have the katana and the sasumata, which I guarantee I'm going to say satsuma at some point. Yeah.
If he needs anything else, we can definitely provide.
But it would be Haruka that only has the singular weapon, the ninjato, right now. So, Dragon, there were a few more weapons that you were looking for. So, do you want to?
Oh yeah, I guess I will grab them from these guys. They have
Let me take you to our armory and see what we can find.
basically outside of the sword, I get like a tanto and some shuriken and a
Definitely have those.
and a blowgun with some darts and some poison to apply to said darts.
I'm sure we have those as well.
Sweet.
Nakama's going to reach into his pack, and it's a thick, like a quilt that's wrapped. And he'll put it on the table and unfold and unroll it, and pick up the sword. Now way, and he'll just chuck Espitha at him.
Best. Wait, you have it?
Yeah, you were gone. You did. You missed that.
Oh man, that's cool though. Wait, do you have the fucking
What
rat ring?
the fuck? Where did you get this?
Where did I get it? I forget, because you said you talked to Clint about it.
Well, no, Clint. You and I talked about that. You,
Yeah.
you
Oh, I
as
know.
Sylvester.
Yeah, I'm just asking you,
Yes,
Chris,
but
like, what's
this was
the...
after Carl left Silvestro, so Carl had no idea.
No, and maybe we didn't communicate that properly, but I was kind of picturing it as though, knowing that you were going to probably meet
Oh,
up
okay.
again, that
Gotcha.
that Carl would have
Gotcha.
brought
Okay. When
Sylvester over.
Okay.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Who's
so
stand-
for,
okay.
for Carl, then, it's only been
Yeah.
a few days since he gave it away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is standing around us right now?
It'd be all of us, I imagine, the four of us.
Mhm.
Is Shun, whatever the name was.
Shajun, no.
Shajun, just the group.
Yep.
I light it.
And for
This will come in handy.
Hasn't
Morihiko,
been lit for a century.
yeah, for Morihiko and Haruka, yeah, both of you see that sword light a flame, and again it triggers some sort of unknown deja vu like memory to you. There is something awfully familiar about that. It doesn't scare you. You feel the warmth from it, and you feel the power coming off of it.
Yeah, like Haruka mutters like guardian angel underneath her breath. Or what you call her, avenging angel.
Fire stops. Put it in my sheath. And I look at Haruka and go, it's not the first time you've said that.
And
Circles.
eventually, all of you turn in for the night, and Haruka, your night is fraught with visions. You see everything that had occurred to you, like a living nightmare, as though you were living through it once again. And at your death, you are shifted to another vision. A vision of a foreign land, a vision of the gallows, a vision of a family brought to an untimely end. And in the aftermath of that death, you see a woman rise. A shadow dancer. A woman in a cat mask, exactly like the one that Misha had in her possession. The next morning, the four of you begin the trek into Kyoto. And after a few hours' walk, the palace of Toyotomi Hideyoshi looms before you. A fortress of elegance and authority. The towering wooden walls, painted in deep reds and gold, gleam under the midday sun. Atop the gate, a massive crest bearing the Palawina flower seal of the Toyotomi clan stands as a silent testament to his dominion. The air here carries the faint scent of sandalwood and incense, a contrast to the frigid discipline that governs the warriors stationed at every entrance. As you approach, two Yashigoro guards cross their spears in warning, their lacquered helmets reflecting the sky above. They do not ask your purpose. They know who walks these steps. One of them bows low, stepping aside to grant passage. And with that, you enter the halls of the most powerful man in Japan. The first chamber is wide, its polished floors reflecting the flickering glow of ornate paper lanterns. And I'm going to pull you to this little map. Maybe. There we go. So, the first chamber is wide, its polished floors reflecting the flickering glow of ornate paper lanterns. Samurai stand at attention along the walls, their hands resting lightly on their katana hilts, their faces impassive. They do not acknowledge you with words, only with the weight of their stares. The scent of fresh ink and parchment lingers here. This is a place where scrolls are signed, alliances forged, and decrees written. Beyond this, the second chamber is smaller, more intimate, yet no less imposing. Here, portraits of past warriors hang in solemn rows, their eyes forever watching. A large bronze brazier stands at the center, its embers casting dancing shadows across the room. Two more samurai, clad in black lacquered armor, stand before the final set of doors. One of them steps forward, gives Oswin a slow, measured nod, and then turns, pushing open the massive wooden doors with a low groan. Beyond you lies the grand chamber of Toyotomi Hideyoshi. The floor beneath your feet is a masterpiece of craftsmanship. The wood inlaid with intricate patterns depicting battles, dragons, and the rise of the Toyotomi. A long strip of red silk fabric runs along both sides of the room, a silent guide leading towards the elevated platform where Lord Hideyoshi sits. Suits of armor line the walls, each one belonging to a warrior who fell in service to the Toyotomi clan, their legacy preserved in steel. Bonsai trees, shaped with meticulous care, sit atop low tables. Their twisting forms a reminder that even the strongest must bend to survive. At the far end, Toyotomi Hideyoshi awaits. He is seated atop a grand tatami dais, surrounded by his advisors, generals, and family. His presence commands the room, not by sheer force, but by the weight of his conquests, the unshakable aura of a man who has reshaped a nation with his own hands. His eyes settle upon Oswin, upon all of you, and the chamber falls into silence. This is not merely an audience. This is a test. And now the warlord of Japan awaits your words. Kosai. And am I saying that correctly? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes, yeah, the intention was both lucky and then also the ability for him to go by Sai as he wants for, well, reasons.
All right, well,
We'll play on words.
You sit among the shogun's trusted advisors, the elevated platform granting you a commanding view of the chamber below. To your left, Takanaga Shingeharu, the ever-skeptical political advisor, watches the proceedings with thinly veiled disdain. His long salt and pepper hair is gathered neatly, and his sharp goatee juts forward like a blade poised to strike. He has never hidden his contempt for you, his gaze now flickering toward you as if to remind you of it once more. Next to him is Hashiba Hidekatsu, the war-hardened general. He remains passive behind the imposing frame of his armor. His presence is a fortress in itself, his expression unreadable. He does not care for courtly games, only strength, loyalty, and the weight of a warrior's steel. On the other side, you have Toyotomi Hideyori, the shogun's son. He sits with an air barely restrained of energy. His blue and white robes are of the finest weave befitting his station. Though a brash in spirit, He knows his place and does not overstep his father's authority. His keen eyes shift toward the newcomers, measuring, weighing. And then, lastly, Yorodono, the shogun's wife, remains composed, her finely kept hair framing her aged yet elegant face. 2 long white strands caress her cheeks, remnants of the youth that once defined her beauty. There is wisdom in her stillness and something deeper, an unspoken knowledge of the tides that shape men's destinies. And then he steps into the chamber. Kami Nakama Kajiya, a name whispered through time across battlefields and borders, a warrior who walks in shadow but does not belong to it. And in that moment, something shifts. Saturn, your ever-faithful moth companion, flutters from your side. You feel the air stir as its delicate wings carry it forward, gliding past the gathered warriors and nobles. It does not hesitate. It does not falter. It lands on the shoulder of Kami Nakama Kajiya. It has never done this before. A thread deep in your soul tugs, unraveling something unseen yet undeniable. The moment is fleeting, yet it lingers, like an echo of something long forgotten. Takenada's eyes narrow. Hidekatsu's brow furrows. But you feel the weight of something profound settle on your chest. The world is changing, and you are at the heart of it. And now the rest of the group stands in front of the shogun, Toyotomi Hidekatsu. I'm sorry, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, Hidekatsu's son.
I will bow. And
I will bow as well.
Any traditions that may
Mhm.
be required as I meet the shogun.
Yeah, same. I will bow as well.
I forget whatever my quest was that I was doing for him. I'd like to resolve that now. Like,
Sure. Yeah.
tell him, it has been done. You do no longer have to worry about whatever it was that I was doing.
And he thanks you. He kind of brushes that aside, and he says, Nakama, you bring with you from your travels guests into my court. Pray tell, who are these individuals, and why have you brought them here?
We shall start with the youngest, Haruka. She has been wronged. Her family has been wronged. They have been slaughtered, their homes burned, and her family is mine. Before I met you, I knew her family. And I bring her here because I now have a blood quest for revenge.
And
I wanted you to know about it.
Who is it that you seek revenge upon? Do you know the culprits that murdered her family?
Shadow petals.
Ah! You wish to pursue a myth. The shadow petals are nothing more than an old wives' tale. Whispers in the dark, meant to frighten children and fools. You chase ghosts, Kajiya, when there are real enemies at our doorstep.
With all due respect, I too was once and am a whisper in the dark.
The Shimatsu clan gathers strength. And the Shimatsu clan, for the record, is a dire enemy of the Toyotomi clan. My spies tell me they scheme to tear my rule from my hands. War looms on the horizon, Kajiya, and you, one of my most trusted warriors, make a request to leave, to wander Kyoto in search of vengeance. This is not the time for indulgent fantasies. But I will think on it. Tonight, there will be a performance held in my honor. A traveling band of kabuki players, the No, will be performing within the Royal Theater in Tokyo. Sorry, I said Tokyo, I meant Kyoto. My family and I will attend. You and your companions will join us. After the performance, we will dine, then we will speak further. Until then, this matter is closed.
Thank you.
And when he says the matter is closed, I clear my throat just barely enough to get his attention.
Kosai.
And Kosai just says, okay, what is a honorific that would, like your lordship, your honor, whatever, what is the correct one?
Lord would be correct.
Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's a little bit of disdain on that word, but he's using it because there are others present. And he says, my lord, be it all the same, I would discuss with them now. Not that I request that you do, but that I might.
You are one of my trusted advisors. I trust you with one of my most trusted samurai. Go with them.
And wordless, he stands up and gets up and goes over to still learning the new names, Nakama, and makes eye contact, but also his eye is also flickering over to Saturn as if to beckon Saturn back. And it, once that happens, he settles, hopefully, in the bun of the hair, the very messy hair that I have. He floats his way up there and kind of settles in it. And I just look at Nakama and look over my shoulder at everyone else present, but I don't say anything.
What would be the protocol that I would be used to after Toyotomi would end a discussion? I imagine it would be an immediate face and leave.
Leave the room. Yeah.
The hell out of dance.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn and look at Haruke and Nawe and Morihiko and say, that is all.
Mm-hmm.
And walk out. I don't know if there's someone that's going to lead us anywhere.
Or
if I know the way.
I was going to say Kosai, or I can take the lead if necessary.
Yeah, Kosai can lead you out.
I imagine I have my own place at some point.
Yeah.
Or at least a room and board when I do show up.
Yep.
Okay.
So the room just outside the chamber that you guys had walked through is kind of a sitting room. If you would so desire, you could have your meeting here, Kosai.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, once we get in that room, I had actually planned, once the door's shut and I know I'm out of earshot from the whole council before we ever get to that other door, I turn around to Nakama and very briskly, and I say, his lordship may desire to wait and must exercise the patience to do so. I hold no such, I don't have to be beholden to patience in the same way. Nakama, who are these strangers you have brought to us? And how is it that you perceive us to be able to help you when we have so much else that his lordship has asked us to focus on?
Haruke is family. And it's family above all.
Very Fast and the Furious.
Don't have to ruin it, man.
And when he says that, I turn my gaze to Haruke and
Haruka.
Haruka. I turn my gaze over to her and I use a genius point to enact the sight beyond sight, because I'm, very unsure of her. Like, something about her unsettles me, and so at this point, I ask her, 3 questions. I want to know what kind of being she is, because she, at this point, it's like the aura of death is about her, and I can't quite place it.
I'm classified as a monster according to the book.
Wonderful. Okay, so
she is reborn.
Good, reborn. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. I like that word better. Good. Okay, and then the second question I'd ask of her is, right off the bat, because I heard what Nakama said, but I want to know from her, what is it she seeks? What is her purpose here?
It's vengeance. Just sweet, complete, utter vengeance.
So that was truthful, is what I'm attempting to obtain with that question. That is, then, so that's obviously, and then the third question, which I had a minute ago, because I've just now realized I get to ask 3 instead of 2 now. So what was that third question? Was
What does your
yes, and
What is your quest?
Mhm.
What is your favorite color?
What is the airspeed
Nobody-
velocity? No. The third question from the Sight Beyond Sight would simply be, because I sense this, this connection. Like, are we connected in some way? You know what I mean? And I want to see if she knows if we are or not.
And when you so these questions are silent questions, basically. I
Yes.
mean, like
Yeah.
you, the player, is asking the other player. But I'm going to intervene for a moment with that last question, because as you are thinking about that and trying to hone in on what her connection is, you see beneath her robes she has spirited in an extra passenger, and the head of a black cat pops out of her robes. And you immediately go into a like a post-cognition kind of trance, Kosai. And you see a foreign land, a woman and her family, beautiful woman and her family at the gallows, dropping, meeting their final death. And you see the woman rise. And you see her form a band of companions, one of which is Nakama. But this world that you are seeing, this foreign land, is like nothing you've seen before. And it is older. Quite a bit older than you, than anyone that you know. Older than Nakama should be. And you see this beautiful dancer don a cat mask and fight alongside others. One in particular that looks and feels very familiar to you. Another beautiful woman with curly black hair and long flowing dresses. And, most importantly, your companion, the moth, Saturn. And you see the faces of these individuals begin to change. And they change into the faces that you see before you and the face that you see in the mirror. You are one and the same. And all of the memories that Madalena had are now yours.
Once he processes that, he looks back over his shoulder, back toward the doors into the main chamber, and dispensing with absolutely any sense of decorum at this point, he says, Hideyoshi may believe that the shadow petals are but myth. I suspect and possibly have seen different and cannot explain it. But my attention should be focused elsewhere. I cannot help. I do not understand why, but I cannot help but to believe that I am meant to assist you. If we are to track them down, we will need a plan of attack. And more than that, we must develop it together and plan safely. There are voices, other actors, possibly even in these halls, who may not wish us to succeed. We will talk somewhere else that is more safe as soon as possible. For now, let us leave these chambers.
We can go to Nakama's living quarters. I feel like that would be the closest, safest place.
Yeah, a place that I once wouldn't have even considered discussing anything, since it had been all of a sudden seems like a good idea. Well, I can't explain that either, but I'm going with it.
And Clint, I saw that you rolled a perception check there. What were you looking for?
I was just seeing if Carl was paying attention to if he would gather what happened, if he knows that that is Magdalena for sure.
Seeing him go into that trance,
yeah,
cinches it for you for sure.
Yeah. We should go back to the Brotherhood, Magdalena. Bring Saturn with you. Apparently, we have a little rapscallion that can help us once again.
And all Kosai will say is, not here. And then kind of speed, through the doors, gesturing for everyone to follow to, once we get inside Nakama's room. And Nakama and I both know we can talk safely there. I never would have thought it before now, but now I know.
Nakama, you would have been given your own plot of land
cool.
as a samurai. So you probably have a very small lakeside abode that you could take everyone to. You've got horses and the like there as well.
Servants?
Yes. Yeah, a servant. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, when we get there, I'll name him later.
Okay.
or you can name them. Let them know to make preparations and sleeping arrangements for my guests.
As you wish.
And do we have anything to eat?
Yes, and I would say you probably have someone there too that would be a cook that would prepare food for you as well.
Okay. How long? How long have they known me? Like, is it starting to get weird that I don't age?
These folks here, not long at all.
Okay.
Yeah, you should certainly be fine here. You would have been with Toyotomi for
Let me get-
maybe about a decade.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that would be about right because I think Nobunaga died in about 87, I think, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So yeah, about 10 years.
Okay. Well, um, I will just show everybody where they might be able to sleep, and I'll go change into something more comfortable and go to the eating area and where they're going to serve tea for us. And then we can begin our conversation. I'll start with a welcome. And then I kind of will explain a little bit about what I am thinking in terms of what we need to do, but then I'll pass it to Haruka. Is it or a? Haruka? Haruke?
Uh, uh, Haruka.
Haruka. And I'll pass it to her to give a more detailed, like, what happened. And also, let Morihiko fill in the gaps that Haruka doesn't know.
Yeah, basically, I would talk about how there was the people that wanted our property and how they wouldn't sell. We were going to sell, and that being my biggest suspicion of who would have hired assassins to take out our family. It's just
Who
too
were
much.
they?
That was the Portuguese.
Yeah,
The Portuguese.
Yeah, the missionaries or whoever.
Fucking missionary.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And Oswin, that you still know the individual that introduced you to Oda Nobunaga.
Yeah. What's his name again?
I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Alessandro Villagnano.
God, dick.
Alessandro what?
Villagnano. Viglignano.
All right. What's the relationship I have with him? Obviously, he directed me towards and introduced me to Lord Hideyoshi, but
No, he introduced you to Nobunaga, not Hideyoshi.
oh, Nobunaga.
Yeah.
Oh, way
Yeah.
back when.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
We went
once
for-
you left Nobunaga's service and left the name Yasuke behind, most of your ties to Alessandro were cut off because this would have been considered a great slight against the favor that he did for you by introducing you to Nobunaga. So that relationship has ended for the most part. You know where he is, and he's here within Kyoto. But
Sorry. So Nobunaga died. I then went to another lord, and that's what split us?
yes, that's what would
Okay.
have split you from Alessandro. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I will mention that I do know a person from that contingent.
Wait, you mean the
I'll
Portuguese?
yeah, I'll say his name just to see if Haruke or Morihiko recognizes it. Maybe it was passed around or like they overheard it.
Just real quick, I think it's funny that like we all went with like really went in with the Japanese, and none of us were having any luck with
Yeah.
pronunciation.
I need to watch a little YouTube on pronunciation.
Yeah, like if you like actually if you Google like the names, like you can hit the button to
Yeah.
like actually say it. So I got mine from one of the Yakuza games. It's a girl that you adopt after her mother gets brutally murdered.
Of course.
Yeah, those Yakuza games are hardcore.
They are. I played one of them for a bit, and I did not like the gameplay in that at all.
It's a little. I guess depending on which one it was, like they're kind of like JRPGs. They're not that complicated, but
Mhm.
the stories are all really good.
Yeah.
And they do have mini games for days. But yeah, I've played like I think 5 of them now.
Huh.
Well, so do I know necessarily where Alessandro, uh, where he might be, and what was his like business? Was he even related to the business of uh, real estate, or was it just the missionaries in general were about real estate and just sucking up land?
Well, their main mission is to spread the word of Christianity here in Japan, plain and
Mhm.
simple. And as far as you know, that is all that he was involved in. I think
Okay.
your instinct in getting involved with him in the first place was to see whether or not there was any inkling of the Templar Knights
Yeah.
that had come over with him. In the time that you spent with him, you did not see any evidence of that.
Okay.
They live a life of solitude and prayer, and they have certainly integrated themselves into Japanese society here, and have converted a lot of the peasants to Christianity, and their goal was to work on the nobles as well. And there may be a few nobles, that have converted to Christianity here in Kyoto at this time. So, for the most part, they've seemed to be pretty straightforward and innocent.
Mhm.
And when you cut ties, or when ties were cut, uh, it was really no loss to you, because around about that time would have been when Misha would have passed anyway, so you would have felt the threat would have been over at that point anyhow.
Okay. Haruka. Whatever.
Haruka.
Haruka. Do you remember any names of the Portuguese that came to your village?
It probably would have been something more my husband dealt with, right?
Yeah.
So like I would have been there while they're having the conversations, but I don't know. Can I roll like? Can I make a reason feat? See if, see if I remember
Let's
anything.
see here. What could we do? Let's do make a
Just maybe random intelligence roll,
I think a wisdom.
wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. The one I don't have any pluses in. All right, just wisdom check.
Yep.
Calling karma.
Um, your husband didn't share much with you about those dealings. He would come back and he would curse and complain, about these foreigners coming in and trying to buy the land and so forth. And he would mention maybe some names, but he butchered them so bad they weren't anywhere near close to what their actual names would have been. Alessandro sounds like nothing that he would have mentioned.
Good. Sorry, I'm sorry. I wish I could be more help, but I just know foreign missionaries.
Yeah. The name Alessandro, did Nakama ever make that connection back to Florence or Italy, where it was Alessandro Malatesta who was the child kidnapper?
Ah, it's coincidence.
Coincidence.
Yeah,
Okay.
more than anything. I kind of forgot about that dude. But yeah, coincidence for sure.
Okay.
This, and for the record, this Alessandro Villagnano is actually a historical character.
Yeah. I'm looking at his wiki page right now to see if Carl would know anything about him.
The other Alessandro was not. He was just somebody that I made up, and before I was
Okay.
even creating these, so it's just a coincidence.
Got it. Okay.
But good on you for remembering that.
It's all connected, man.
See the guy in the bushes and the dollar bill? Okay. Well, that makes we have a lead. Now, with your connections, do you think maybe we can get close to or get a better understanding of these Portuguese's intentions? Who might be connected and who might have hired the Shadow Petals?
So quick question. What's going to happen to my property and land now that my people are all gone?
It falls to the state. So
Oh.
actually, Toyotomi would probably be gaining access to it, if not already, but soon.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps someone has talked to him about acquiring it from him.
Yeah, before we leave, I want to talk to him about if he's acquired any land in that area, because that land is our family's, and that should be returned.
That would be something that you would probably need to discuss over dinner tonight at the after the performance.
Okay.
And inquire if anybody has already talked to him about buying it from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kosai speaks up and says, I will help you appeal to his lordship for this.
It would be best to go through you anyway. You have his ear, do you not?
And he just throws you a look, but doesn't say anything.
As for our course of action, yes, I'm sure I can dig some things up on our Portuguese visitors that would help, but perhaps going after this child Yoshi should be our first course of action. Finding people on the streets that know things have always served us well in the past.
True. Morihiko, did you come across or meet any of these Portuguese or anyone coming to the area that may have been interested in what Haruka was saying, that they wanted to buy their homes? That they would try and buy yours?
I was just trying to remember if I had a conversation with my father about this.
I would say that it would be perfectly reasonable because of the location of your farm that you might have been approached as well.
Mm-hmm.
I now think they might be at risk.
Morihiko's family?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
when's the last time you may have run into them, Morihiko?
I believe it would have been sometime before the fire. And then since then, nothing. It has been quiet.
And why don't you make a wisdom roll for me, please.
How many days has it been technically since this event?
About 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right? I don't know why I forgot that. I didn't think it then. Okay.
It's been 2 weeks since you looked at me.
Is that the circle next to it?
Yes.
It's lighting up, but I click and nothing happens.
Is your character sheet popped out?
That may be
Yeah, some buttons don't work.
okay.
Popped out, yeah.
That's a shame.
Oh,
Well, mine worked for when it was popped out.
Yeah, mine worked. Mine popped out. Mine worked.
There we go. Hey, look at
Mm.
that.
You redeemed yourself.
Yeah, negative
Yeah.
One, a 1 and then a 20. That's perfect.
Jesus, yeah.
all coming back to me.
You were present, Morihiko, at one of the meetings with the Portuguese when they were attempting to buy the farm. Your father was actually considering it, and they were offering a meager amount of money, and so negotiations were in the process at this meeting, but nothing had been decided upon. And you remember the names of all three of the individuals, the priests that came to visit. Manuel Teixeira, Carlos Ferreira, and Jose Martin.
Manuel, Carlos, and Jose.
Yep.
The three amigos.
More like the three caballeros.
They're both good.
Yes, they spoke to my father and tried to persuade him. But as I was there and heard them conversing and discussing negotiations, I also pulled my father aside and spoke with him about our family's future and our connection to the land. So I'm not sure that he would have ultimately made such a deal. And then the Manuel, the three amigos. As they spoke with my father, I served them a tea, and they began to argue amongst themselves, to seem to not see their own point. I can't imagine why this would be, but they left that day, and we didn't hear from them again until the fire happened, and I cannot remember seeing them after that.
No way. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask real quick, Chris. I mean, I know the Shogun has a lot going on, obviously, but to what extent are we aware of these traveling bands of Christian mercenaries on our territory attempting to convert people? Like, is that a problem we're currently dealing with or aware of at all? Or is it too little to pay attention to right now? Like, where are we with that?
Well, the advantage, I think, to the court is it's opening up trade.
Okay.
By allowing the Christians in, it has opened up the ports to the Europeans to be able to come in and bring things with them. So there is a monetary advantage to allowing them to preach to the people of the land. And
instead of a cultural threat, it's an economic boon.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
And
all right.
Toyotomi has seen, the numbers increasing ever so slightly those that are converting to Christianity, he feels as though it's worth the price to pay for a loss of faith in some of his followers for the boons that come at that loss. And even though he may be they may be losing their faith in their own beliefs and converting to Christianity, they are still loyal to the regime. So who they worship is of no concern to Toyotomi.
It's about religious freedom.
Yep, just checking. Thank you.
All right, anything else that you need to discuss?
Nawe goes, Oswin. There's something I need to tell everyone.
Is this going to get weird?
Haruka says,
For you.
Coming back from the dead?
For you, no.
Trust me, that's not weird, Haruka. I've experienced that before.
I feel like it's a little weird.
We've been there, Haruka. Or Haruka.
This is my first time.
First
There's
time?
something I need. First time. There's something I need to tell everyone. Because it caused some issues the last time Oswin and I met. And I don't want it to cause any issues this time. I guess the best way to explain it is I am of two souls. What you see physically in front of you is Naue Fujibayashi. But I am also Carl Bayak.
I'm sorry, Carl Bayak.
Yes. This is where it gets weird. This is where it gets weird. And Oswin, you'll need to back me up on this. Carl, who's actually the person talking to you right now, I am from the year 2025.
The future.
My consciousness has been transferred into Naue. And we both occupy this body. Oswin, how much do you want me to say?
Whatever won't blow their minds.
Oh, too late for that. 100 years or so ago, Oswin and I met for the first time in Italy. That is where we met Misha and his mother Magdalena.
Leonora.
Or Leonora, sorry. Leonora. And an inventor Pardo. And I look at Mashiko when I say that.
Morihiko.
And Morihiko. Yeah, whatever. The print's too small on my screen. It's Zoom, for God's sake. And then I look at Kosai and go, and Magdalena. And we stopped the Templars in Italy.
Who?
We'll get to that later. So, just wanted to be open about that. I know it's weird. And
So wait, if you're from the future, that means you know what's going to happen?
no, I don't. I'm from a future.
So wait, wouldn't you interacting with us possibly change your future if this were true?
Not my future.
In the present, um, Hasu is just like, yes, she gets it. Come on, stop stepping on butterflies.
Not my future.
Hmm.
Because in my future, I'm in the present. So it's not affecting the things I'm doing. I'm affecting a future.
So why don't you just? So wait, couldn't you have just made it so that none of this happened? My family didn't have to die.
How?
You just said you're from the future. Didn't you
From
know?
there is a future where your family didn't die. And I may not exist in that future. Time is a tree that continues to grow and branch. I am a small part of a small branch of a future that could have happened from the events that happened in your lifetime.
So why are you here?
That's what we have to figure out. I'm here to help you revenge your family. I was your avenging angel previously, and I'm prepared to do that again.
Are you trying to guide us to a specific future for your time?
No. I'm trying to make your time just.
She just kind of mulls on that. So it's like quantum leap.
I too.
Only I get that reference, but okay.
She doesn't say that. I'm just saying that.
I too have an interior entity, a celestial entity that has also lived for some time, not separate from me, but part of my soul, the Eerie. Is Carl your divine guide?
I wouldn't call myself divine. Barely would I call myself a guide.
Well, with that, I'm back to puzzlement.
I'm a companion.
I'll pick up Bathsheba. She's like, he's a companion. You're a companion. Too.
And quite cryptically, Kosai says, looking at Carl, looking at Carl, he just says, there are those of us who walk among time, and there are those of us who bend it. And that's it.
It's cryptic as hell.
Mhm.
And then after you say that, now it looks at Nakama. Is that Nakayama? Nakama? At
Nakama.
Nakama and goes, and there are those that are constant through it.
Interesting that I'm the level-headed constant in all of this.
Haruka says, I can't imagine what you must have done to have to live such a life that you would see all that you know die. I'm sorry for you, Nakama.
Thank you. Probably the worst thing
I've only had to witness it once, and I fear that my psyche is fractured beyond repair.
It will heal.
But I have Bathsheba here. I have my kitty. And we have our revenge plan, don't we?
Well, the day continues to pass as you continue to tell each other stories and get to know each other a little bit better. And in the afternoon, Oswin, you're able to get your servant to gather together the appropriate attire for Morihiko and Haruka for the festivities tonight. So I'm going to fast forward us a little bit since we're a little bit over time and bring you to the Royal Kabuki Theater. The theater stands like a jewel in the heart of Kyoto. Its elegant wooden facade illuminated by rows of paper lanterns, their golden glow casting flickering light upon the intricately carved eaves. The building is grand, yet understated, built for nobility, reserved for the highest of audiences. 2 red silk banners hang at either side of the entrance, embroidered with golden kanji that proclaim the night's performance. Honor in the falling blossom. As you step inside, the scent of incense and lacquered wood fills the air. A grand hallway lined with painted screens depicting scenes of myth and war leads you to the main performance hall. Servants in dark indigo robes bow deeply as you pass, their faces carefully expressionless. Beyond the gateway, the theater proper opens before you. A vast room dominated by a grand proscenium stage flanked by intricately painted panels depicting rolling waves and a blood-red sun rising over the mountains. The audience seating consists of tiered platforms lined with plush cushions and tatami mats reserved for the shogun and his most esteemed guests. At the center of it all, seated in a place of honor, is Toyotomi Hideyoshi, his advisors and family at his side. The atmosphere is one of hushed anticipation, the air thick with both excitement and something else, something unspoken, a tension that lingers just beneath the surface. The lanterns dim, the room falls into silence. A single sharp drumbeat echoes through the hall. Then the curtain parts. On the stage in front of you, a magnificent samurai warrior, Shite, stands at the center of the stage. His armor gleaming beneath the lantern light. He is proud, noble, his every movement precise and deliberate. Behind him, his wife, Tomo, and young son, Kokata, kneel within the walls of their home, gazing upon him with a mixture of reverence and sorrow. The story unfolds through movement, song, and the rhythmic clack of wooden geta striking the stage. The chorus members, the Juyutai and Waki, stand to the side, their voices weaving the tale. The samurai has been called to war. His wife pleads with him not to leave. His son tries to be strong, but clutches his father's sleeve, unwilling to let go. The adversary, Hugin, lurks in the shadows, a rival lord who seeks to destroy the samurai's family in his absence. The acting is exquisite. Their movements of each performer deliberate and measured. The chorus members wield their fans, flicking them open and closed to punctuate moments of dramatic tension, their voices rising and falling in a hypnotic cadence. Then comes the moment of parting. The samurai turns his back on his family, walking into the darkness. His wife's sorrowful wail echoes through the chamber as the lantern light shifts to a deep crimson, bathing the stage in an ominous glow. The second act begins. The adversary, Kugan, steps forward, his presence dominating the stage. He is cunning, ruthless, his words dripping with venom as he plots the destruction of the samurai's house. The chorus whispers of betrayal, of a trap laid in the shadows. From the corner of your eye, you see something unusual. The way the adversary's hand lingers a little bit too long on the hilt of his sword. The way the chorus members' fans seem heavier than mere paper and wood. The performance continues, but there is an undercurrent of unease. Something is not right. The samurai's young son, Kokata, steps forward, his eyes bright with defiance. His hands tighten on something at his side, something that remains hidden beneath his robes. His stance is different now. And then the air shifts. Oops.
Oops.
With that, the little boy has stepped forward. And as I said, he is holding something beneath his robes. And suddenly, he bursts forth with both hands and a pair of forked knives appear in his hands. And he runs towards the balcony here on the right-hand side and climbs up in the direction of Toyotomi Hideyoshi. And the rest of the cast now begin to move forward with weapons, bladed fans, katanas, towards the crowd. An assassination attempt is about to begin.
Snap.
And we will leave that as our cliffhanger for next session.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
All right.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
So, we're off on a new race.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Japan, y'all.
Yeah. I'm stoked for this.
Well, there's a lot of exposition to start us out with, but I think we needed a good, solid backstory for everybody.
Yeah.
So
We're jumping in time and space. So.
You killed a lot of people very early on in the lead up to this story. I'm just saying.
I know, yeah, I sure did.
That was fun, though. I'm excited to get it. Are we all good 2 weeks from now?
Oh, sure. I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet. The only thing keeping me late would be baseball, but I'll be here regardless.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, I'm going to sign off. My son is going back to school after a very long spring break. So I need to check in on him and make sure everything's all right. So thanks for, Christy, thanks for picking up with us here. We are glad to have you.
Yes, welcome.
I will see everybody in 2 weeks.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
See you later,
Bye,
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night.